Nigeria jaga jaga, everything scatter. Poor man they suffer. Boza, gunshot na the air. Nigeria jaga jaga, everything scatter. Poor man they suffer. Boza, gunshot na the air. What they say? Nigeria jaga jaga, everything scatter. Poor man they suffer. Boza, gunshot na the air.
So the main opposition People's Democratic Party is on something of a menacing roller coaster ride, reeling from the wave of defections to the APC. And it's not just the increasing gaggle or horde of politicians who are crossing over, it's also the level. Governors, members of the National and State Assemblies, local government chairman, and a former vice presidential candidate. It's the kind of thing that can be deadly to the survival of any political party, and analysts say it unquestionably poses an existential threat to the PDP. After its stellar run of 16 years from 1999 to 2015, is this the end, they ask? But there are the optimists who say that within such a crisis potentially also lies an opportunity, a chance not only for the PDP to take punitive steps against those enemies within who've taken a wrecking ball to the very soul of the party, but an opportunity to restore confidence by assuring the public with its actions that the party is now purged of these sabotage plots. So what's the betting that the PDP will rise again like the phoenix it once was? Or is it more likely that it'll be overwhelmed by this fusillade of defections, becoming just a place for those tired politicians looking to pass time? Well, for more on this, I'm joined now in the studio by the political activist and civil society leader, Dr. Usman Bugaje, who's a former special advisor to the Vice President of Nigeria and was also a member of the House of Representatives. Thank you very much indeed for joining us.
Charles, my pleasure.
And you've had a long traveling day, so thank you for taking the time to be here. What's your reaction to this fusillade of defections from the PDP to the APC?
My first reaction is that this should not come to us as a surprise. We should be able to see it coming.
Well, the PDP said it was a surprise. They said they didn't expect it.
No, they don't quite say what things are. I mean, this is the hallmark of politicians. And I think my first reaction is to say that they are telling the world and telling Nigerians that politicians, that this generation of politicians are essentially prostitutes. And it underscores the point that some of us have been making, that our political parties have no content, they have no conscience, and they have no courage. You can't find any courage of conviction. Just go back a few years back, 2, 3, 4, 5 decades. Look at the politicians, look at how passionate, look at the passion with which they stand by their party. And when you mention the parties of old, it comes immediately with an idea of what they stand. You can't say what PDP stands today. You can't say what APC stands today. You can't say what any other party really stands today. More than that, Charles, when you look at the party, you look at the, what you call him, the chair of the party. What do you see? In one of the parties, you have somebody who has, whose video has gone viral collecting dollars, right? I mean, so when they made him, could they have been unconscious of the fact that this is what this man symbolized? Others who are leading other parties, go check their records. And so really, this to me is not surprising. It's not a surprise. It's something that would ought, obviously come to pass. And like I said, it underscores this very important point that we've been making, that if we cannot reinvent our democracy, we're going to lose it. Because at the moment, it is simply, coming to nothing. 25 years of democracy, Charles, there is no development. If anything, this country has been going down the drain under the watch of these same very people. And you see them, you hear them, you see what they do, and this country is like, in a trance, basically waiting. The civil society has been fairly quiet. If the civil society continues to be silent, when the masses arise, because they have nothing else, to eat and nowhere to go, that's going to be quite serious.
That's a very powerful opening statement there, but I do have to say that the civil society are not entirely quiet. We've had some of them, quite a number of them, making a lot of statements. Just yesterday, we heard that they are planning a 7.2 million person march on Abuja.
I'm looking at the standards,
in protest.
Charles. I'm looking at the standard with which some of us faced the Abacha regime. We were in the trenches.
Yeah. I agree that the way that you, people like you, to whom we remain grateful that Nigeria even has a democracy today, took on the government, the military government at the time, the way that you did. But returning to the moment, I mean, it looks like it's an offensive against the PDP by the APC. Do you think the APC is leaning on people and coercing them to defect, or are the defectors just doing it unbidden and of their own accord? Because, I mean, there are, stories flying around on both sort of sides.
Well, for what I know, and I don't claim to know everything, the APC is basically using money to buy off PDP.
Well, some say a carrot and a stick. So the money is the carrot. What's the stick?
I'm not quite sure. Of course, if there are people with records in the EFCC, they might threaten them. They might do these kind of things, and this has been the practice right from the time of President Obasanjo. So this might be, but I think the essential thing is basically money. And for me, this is a very serious issue. And this should be the center of our conversation in politics today. Because for as long as money is going to be the determining factor, then that's the end of democracy and that's the end of politics.
I would agree.
And we go into something else completely different, maybe on the path of Peru under Fujimori.
Yeah, so it's very worrying. The PDP, though, in its response through the acting national chairman, Umar Damagum, has said that the next election will not be determined. First of all, they said they weren't expecting the mass defections in Delta State. Then he said that the next election will not be determined by the number of governors in a party, but it'll be between the people and the APC, and that it would be an opportunity to punish the ruling party for the pain that it's inflicted on the country. Well, what do you think of that response? So that seemed a bit tepid coming from the party that is supposed to be the main opposition in the country.
Well, there has not been opposition right from the time the Minister Wiki did what he did. I mean, basically, PDP has lost that opportunity to become an opposition party. Look at how members behaved, in the last big issue of emergency rule in the parliament. Look at what they did when it came to the budgeting, to so many other things. So really, there is no opposition party. Really.
But what do you see as the dangers right now for the PDP? Can they prevent more top-level people in the party from defecting?
I don't think. I think the foundation is essentially wrong. You know, I was part of the merger. As you know, I was National Secretary of AC, which became ACN. And during the merger of ACN, some governors from PDP, part of ANPP and, you know, part of ABGA. During that merger, a fundamental mistake was made. We did everything, myself and the chair, Bisi Akande, to stop it. And what was that? It was the fact that now that we have an opportunity to reconstruct a party, we should develop a criteria for people who are going to hold responsibilities of the party. They all opposed it, except a few of us. And why? Because everybody wants to bring his own person in the party. If I'm a politician, I'm interested in a particular post, I would want to make sure that in the National Working Committee.
I hope when I don't hear them, our politicians don't become prostitutes. They are prostitutes in the game of politics. And the way things they go turn this country to become one-party system. And you know what happens? By the time it becomes a one-party system, this country, it will become like a military regime or will become like military regime. What they do in this country is that once you are an opposition party and you are against them or you are constructively criticizing their bad governance, they will start coming against you. They will start fighting against you. And that is not the way to go. That is not the way to go. We need formidable opposition party that will always rise in order to fight against these people. These people want to turn us into their slaves. So we need to rise up and speak against one-party system. We are not practicing one-party system. And so the ruling party should always learn to listen to constructive criticism from opposition party. That is what democracy is all about. That is what democracy is all about. Democracy does not support dictatorship. Democracy supports free opinion. Free opinion. That is what democracy is all about. I don't understand. Thank God this gentleman in the studio is trying to tell us that the politicians have turned to prostitutes. And that is exactly what they are. Because there is no better definition of the activities of politicians. The worst what they do is, once they discover that you are against them as an opposition party, they will start avoiding you. They will start avoiding you. They will start seeing you as someone with a leper. You have about the story of a leper in the Bible, right? They will start seeing you as an individual or group of people who have leprosy. And that is not good for democracy. That is not good for democracy. So I want to thank this gentleman in the studio for that name he gave to the politicians of our country. Not all the politicians though. Not all of them. I have a very few of them who will not bend their ideology just for them to achieve a goal. They will never bend their ideology in order to achieve a goal. They stick to the principles that has led to the establishment of their political party, and they stand by it. That is what a politician is, and that is what he's supposed to be. Not those because of what they will gain, their selfish interest, even to the detriment of their citizens. They will cross carpets anyhow because they might have committed an offense, and in order for them to have a cover, an immunity, they would like to join the ruling party so that they are going to have a sort of protection. But they should have forgotten that one day they must be cut, because a leader must not continue to be in the position of leadership for more than 8 years, as the case of Nigeria. That is 2 tenures. So at the end of it again, they would like to cross carpet again in order to stay with the ruling party. The point is that Nigeria, if not checked, the present activities is going to lead Nigeria into anarchy or dictatorship, where only the only people that have the say are the only ruling party. If you can't beat them, you join them. That is exactly what is going on in Nigeria, and that is not good for democracy. If we truly say that we are practicing democracy, this is not the way to go. It is not the way to go. So thank you for listening. Please like, share, and comment. Thank you very much.